Hello there, private practice owners. This is Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing. And today I am having a virtual coffee with Purdeep. Purdeep is known as the mentor for men in business and helps men win in business and in life. His personal mission is to help men live more fulfilling lives, have passionate relationships, and raise happy families. As an entrepreneur, husband, and father, Purdeep is known exactly how tough it can be to balance a business and successful life with his family. Purdeep uses his proprietary system called the Winner's Formula to help men win in a system developed using leadership psychology, the latest in neuroscience, and modern mindfulness to align a man's life and energy and mind and emotions to create exponential confidence, performance, vitality, and wealth. Would love for you to talk a little bit about how you came upon this as your target market and your approach.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting and great question. So I guess, first of all, I kind of fell into it because this is a path that was kind of chosen for me. One door led to another, and this is where I ended up. So I didn't have it in my mind to really coach men specifically. I was coaching men and women originally. It just so happened that the coaching that I was doing, 80% of it was on what I call the self-mastery skills, which is how do you be a more effective man? How do you be a better husband? How do you be a better father? And how do you be a better leader being a male individual? Because men and women, whether we like to admit it or not, we are built differently. We think differently. We have different types of emotions at different periods of time. So we are almost like two different species. And so men have a specific need, just like women have a specific need. The challenge is that we don't have a system or a support network for men specifically. So we have a lot for women, which I support, and I fully, I keep going. I think that's important, but there's very little conversation happening with men. And so a lot of the work that I do with men is the traditional, you can say, the topic of mindset, emotional mastery. And I talk a lot about energy levels and the work that we do. So there's very little of that conversation going on because anybody can go to a business coach that will have specific skills on business coaching. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that that's not their biggest challenge. It's not the business strategies and tactics that are a challenge for most men in business. It's really how they are in terms of mastering themselves. And so there's very few resources out there for men. And so that's where, I had an interesting conversation this morning with a gentleman where we were talking about locker room talk, where guys will express certain challenges in a certain way and say, you know what, I'm challenged with this. And someone else will step up and say, hey, just, suck it up, deal with it, man up. Well, that's locker room talk. We need to have a more open venue for guys to be able to express themselves openly. Now, I'm not talking about, just whining and complaining. I'm talking about issues that guys and majority of guys will have, because in a room of 10 individuals, of 10 guys, for example, I can bet you 8 of those guys are having relationship challenges. I can bet you 8 of those guys are feeling like they don't have the confidence levels that they want, or they're feeling less of a man because they're not achieving the income level or the success that they want to have. And they're comparing themselves to other guys in their network or even on social media. So I know this for a fact, but there's very few venues for them to have that conversation. And that's where I say, you're not the only one.
So what are some of the number one issues that you find in helping men overcome some of these struggles that most people probably are not aware of?
Is that a lot of guys equate their self-worth and who they are, their confidence level, to their career or their success as a business owner. And sometimes they tie that a lot to their income. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. And I can tell you it's almost the flip side, because there's guys that make a lot of money that still don't have the confidence because they don't have the relationship that they want, or they don't have the relationship with their kids that they want. So confidence is a big issue from the perspective of they just don't have the true fulfillment in life. if I was to say the core root cause, is that they're aiming towards a goal that they are trying to achieve or that they have already achieved, but they're still not feeling that fulfillment. They don't have that passion. That's one thing that I really talk about a lot because I'm a very passionate person. I'm a passionate person in my relationships. I'm a passionate person in the teachings, and I'm passionate about people living their lives to the fullest. And when you have that degree of passion and you are really being that man that you want and actually fulfilling the purpose that you believe you have, then it doesn't really matter how much money you're making. Yes, it's great to make a lot of money. And yes, you should make a lot of money because it helps you have a great lifestyle. But if you don't make that $10 million this year that you wanted to, let's just say you made two instead, well, that's okay. At least you still feel like you're being that man that you want to be. And that's the most important thing, is that we've stepped away from thinking, feeling, and acting and being the man or woman that we want to be versus achievements. And they are two different things. And so seeing a man go into a state of just having more pride for himself, having more confidence, and actually thinking like the man that he wants to be, feeling like the man that he wants to be, is what really brings true joy to me, because that's the moment that their life changes.
What is the ripple effect of achieving that look like for them? What do you see as the ripple effect? How is their life different?
Yeah, I would say let's just, if we take a look at the chain of what happens, they first come in to help grow their business. And so that is ultimately the end goal as well. They will make more money, they will have a more successful business or their career advancement or whatever it is. But on the side, they are just happier. They're more joyful. They have more energy. They have more vitality and they have more passion. They get up, they wake up in the morning feeling like they have a purpose, and they're feeling happy about getting up, not just, oh, I have to get up and I have to do this and look at the laundry list of stuff that they have to do. Life becomes more of a game than just a chore. And then they also have, this is one of my core passions, is they have better relationships. They feel more confident in their relationship with their spouse, with their wife, where they have a stronger confidence as a father, for example. They're more present with their children. Presence is a huge thing, is because a lot of times as guys, we are physically present, but we're just not there mentally, and we're not there emotionally, because we're constantly thinking about what we have to do next and what we have to achieve next. And so that is the other thing, is being more present, because I've experienced this myself, where I have children and I've been conscious of being present with my kids.
My question to you is, it's kind of twofold. On the one hand, I would think that breaking down those barriers to get a guy to admit to that would be a little bit of a struggle. And so I want to know, number one, how you overcome that. And number two, what your advice would be to somebody who would be struggling with all those things that you just mentioned. What your advice would them to be to taking that first step?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the first question is, I thought it would be tougher too. So it depends on the setting. In a one-on-one conversation, it's very easy for me to pull them out of that, because the easiest thing, the best way for me to do it, and this is because it's genuinely my passion and this is my mission in life, is I'm there to help them. And when they realize that there's no ulterior motive, I'm truly there to help them, and I'm vested into that, they will open up, because I will honestly ask them, okay, tell me about your relationship. Tell me about your sex life. Tell me how you're not feeling good about yourself right now, or what you want to feel, because I've been there and I'll share my personal experiences. And so guys, when they feel like it's safe and they feel like, okay, I'm there and I can help them, they will open up. It's not that tough, because guys they want to do better. That's a natural inherent part of them. It's just not always easy to admit it. And so if I can get into that venue, and that's again why I've created this isn't a locker room. This is an open venue for people to actually express themselves in a safe but constructive environment, right? We're not going to sit there and give you tissues while you're crying about stuff. It's about, okay, well, there to feel your pain. We understand, because there's other guys that felt that pain. Now we're going to say, this is how we're going to help you get out of it. Yeah. So here's the most important thing. Here's what I see stops men. there are what I call the deadly combo. And I call it the deadly combo because it is like a deadly combo. It's like, I use this analogy because I was born and raised on an orchard. And so we use a lot of fertilizer and we use a lot of fuel. What ends up happening is if you mix fertilizer with fuel, you get a big kaboom, like a big kaboom. And I remember one of our employees at that time putting, I think it was like 10 tons of fertilizer, 6 tons of fertilizer right next to like 500 gallons of fuel. And that's where he stored it. And I just almost lost it. The instant I saw that, I said, this is going to create a crater in this mountain. Like, I was just freaked out. I said, move that stuff out of there. And so that's what happens when men have ego and excuses. That is a deadly combo. Because everybody has an excuse. We all use excuses. It's very interesting because in any given conversation that I have with a man, they will have at least minimum 3 excuses. Easy. More like a dozen excuses within a 1 hour period that I have a conversation with them about. And excuses on its own, okay, we can deal with that, right? Because sometimes we overcome those excuses. But it's when we mask those excuses with ego, when we don't take accountability for it, we don't take responsibility for it, that is a deadly combination, because what ends up happening is a man will continue to spin in that vicious cycle. Mm-hmm.
So for folks who are interested in reaching out to you for that kind of support, where can our guys go to reach you?
Well, this is an interesting conversation right now because I'll say themaleentrepreneur.com, but there is a caveat. You can also go to purdeepsangha.com. And the reason why I say this, Lisa, I know I'm taking you on a little bit of challenge or rabbit hole, is I just received a letter from the Entrepreneur magazine asking me to cease and desist with the Male Entrepreneur, even though I have a trademark, the Male Entrepreneur, because they don't like anybody else in business that is giving business advice to have the word entrepreneur in their brand. So this will be interesting to see what comes out of it, but you can reach me at themaleentrepreneur.com or purdeepsangha.com.
Absolutely. Well, again, folks, this is Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing, talking to Purdeep of The Male Entrepreneur. And as always, helping you navigate your yellow brick road. Have a great day, everyone.